A UN-backed war crimes tribunal has rejected an appeal by the last surviving Khmer Rouge leader. The court in Cambodia has upheld the genocide conviction and life sentence handed to 91-year-old Khieu Samphan in 2018. He was head of state during the rule of the Khmer Rouge when 2 million people, mostly minority groups, were killed. Well, Florence Louis is following the story for us from Kuala Lumpur. Florence, is it a sense that this is the end of this story?
That's right. This is the second, but it's also the final case to be heard by this UN-backed tribunal. And Khieu Samphan, he was initially charged with 3 others, but one was found unfit to stand trial and one died before the hearing could commence. But he was convicted in 2018 together with Nuon Chea, who was known as brother number 2 in the Khmer Rouge regime. And he's appealing that conviction. Now, Nuon Chea died before the appeal could be heard. But on Thursday, the appeals chamber of the Khmer Rouge tribunal dismissed nearly all the arguments put forth by Khieu Samphan. Prosecutors say he was one of those who was most responsible for the crimes during that period, even though Khieu Samphan had sought to portray himself as a mere figurehead. He was the head of state, he was the public face of the Khmer Rouge regime, and he had tried to argue that he had no real power. Now, the court was not convinced of the arguments, and they said even though there were some errors that were found at trial stage, it was not enough to overturn that conviction, and so they've affirmed the life sentence. Now, and practically, it actually makes very little difference because he's already serving another life sentence for a conviction handed down in 2014, also for crimes against humanity, for the forced evacuation of Phnom Penh.
Florence, this has been going on for some time with this tribunal. Do people feel that it's actually been worthwhile?
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, it's hard to say. The hearings have taken 16 years. It's cost $330 million. They've prosecuted 5 people. They've only managed to secure 3 convictions. The first was in 2010 of a prison chief who ran the notorious Tol Sling prison in Phnom Penh. His name was Keng Gyok Ek, and he was known as Doik, and 14,000 people died in that prison after being held there. And the other 2 convictions were, of course, of Khieu Samphan and also brother number 2, Nuon Chea. So there is a sense that this tribunal really could have done a lot more. It may have provided a small sense of accountability, but it really could have done more. But although from the very start, I think there were concerns that this tribunal would be, in a way, vulnerable to political interference because of the hybrid nature of the court. It has foreign judges sitting together with Cambodian judges, and those concerns proved validated in a way after Hun Sen, the Prime Minister, said that there should be no more cases after case 002, which is this case. Now, but having said that, there are also many who feel that this court provided a space for national reconciliation, because during those hearings, survivors of the Khmer Rouge regime, relatives of people who died during the Khmer Rouge regime, were able to testify directly in court. And their testimony has been, that they're being kept on record, in a way memorializing the sufferings of those Cambodians. So in a sense, I think even though some feel that this court could have done a lot more, perhaps its legacy goes beyond the convictions that it's handed down.
Florence, thank you very much indeed. Florence Louis talking to us from Kuala Lumpur.